Start, madam. Madam, voice ಬರ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. Madam, voice ಇಲ್ಲ, voice check ಮಾಡಿ, voice.
You are muted, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Now,
Madam, muted. Okay. 1 second, start. Go ahead.
good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on importance of cloud computing and guidance of UGC NET Paper 2, Department of Collegiate Education, Government First Aid College for Women, Jamkhandi, IQAC Initiative, Department of Computer Science, and BCA cordially invites you to one-day international level webinar on importance of cloud computing and guidance of UGC NET Paper 2. Respected learned delegates from across the country and academia, a very good morning to one and all. I'm Lakshmi Bargi. I feel privileged to welcome you all on behalf of organizing committee. Now I hand over the session to Professor Sunil Manakawad sir to welcome today's guest of honor and delegates and all.
Good morning, all the dignitaries and participants. We all know that knowledge comes, but wisdom lingers. This wisdom can be achieved by the continuous learning. As a part of learning, Government First Grade College for Women, Jamkhandi organized one-day international level webinar on impact of cloud computing and guidance of UGC NET Paper 2 Computer Science. It's been an immense pleasure to welcome all of you to this wonderful webinar. First and foremost, I would like to welcome our resource person, Mr. Jitender Rohilla, staff engineer, Virtualization and Cloud Computing VMware Company, United States of America. On behalf of principal and organizing committee, I welcome you, sir. I heartily welcome the president of today's webinar, our beloved principal, Professor M Hadimani, sir, to the webinar. I also welcome all the organizing committee members, Professor Pushpa Avanti Madam, IQAC Coordinator, Government First Aid College for Women, Jamkhandi, Professor M Mantur sir, Head Department of Computer Science, Professor P Sajjan sir, Assistant Professor, Government First Aid College for Women, Jamkhandi, and I heartily welcome all the participants to the webinar. Thank you for providing me an opportunity to welcome you all. Thank you so much. Over to Lakshmi Madam.
Thank you, sir. To make this morning a blessed one, invoke Goddess Saraswati by kindling the lamp of knowledge and wisdom for seeking the choicest blessing. For the same, I invite all the dignitaries for the kindling the lamp. Sajjan sir.
I request all the dignitaries to inaugurate the webinar by lighting the lamp. Over to Sajjan sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for all the dignitaries. Now I hand over the session to Professor Sajjan sir to give an introduction of today's resource person as well as keynote speaker. Over to Sajjan sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. Due to Government of India suddenly organized restart the all colleges, degree levels and PG levels. Our beloved Registrar of Evaluation, Ahmadi University, Vijaypur, Ramesh sir, not possible to join today's session. Sorry to say for all audience, because Government of India urgent meeting, sir is joined. That is also exact timing 10 o'clock. That's why sorry to say. Now today resource person Jitender Rohilla sir, one of the great person, both to have friend from 2012 when both UGC NET in 2012 only. Honor, great pleasure to introduce Jitender Rohilla sir. Jitender Rohilla sir has basically from Haryana. completed his master degree in MCA, NIT Tirchi, and presently he is working in one of the world like Google. It's a world largest and best company, VMware company. It is in USA branch. Sir is working from 2014. He is in California, USA branch. His specialization, staff engineer, expertise in storage and virtualization and cloud computing. Despite of his industry background, sir has cleared many competitive exams. Actually, NET, I think twice or thrice he has cleared NET, UGC NET exam and CSR NET exam and Tamil Nadu KSET exam, SET exam, and also sir has qualified GATE exams many times. So, sir and me collaboratively have published a research work on cloud computing related research paper in 2014 only, and sir is very dynamic, sir, and he has very good in cloud storage and international level, not only for India, international level. He is the one of the resource person in competitive exam purpose computing. Actually we don't have time, that I am introducing today's resource person in few words, because now it's time and 9 o'clock in USA. That's why sir is told me, tell me only 2 3 sentences. That's why his introduction only 4 lines. It is sir biodata is too big. Actually it's take 1 hour to tell about sir. Anyhow, now I am very happy once again welcome you sir for this international webinar. Rohilla sir, now session hand over to today's resource person Jitendra. Rohilla sir, welcome you sir.
Thank you so much. It is so heartwarming to hear all the good words. Yeah, we are both know each other for a long time, and it is a pleasure to work again. So I'm very happy and very thankful to all your colleagues. They have done a wonderful job, and you guys are doing very good thing, sharing the knowledge with other people. So if I'm going bit fast, you guys can uh, point me out. I can bit slow. Otherwise, I'll go on a simple pace. So we have combined two topics for today discussion. One is cloud computing, and the another one is what you call the basic, which we require for any lecturer exam, that is called UGC net. And so let us talk about first in the cloud computing what all we going to do. So first of all, when we talk cloud computing, right, the first thing that comes into everybody's mind, what the heck is the cloud computing? Everybody says cloud, cloud, cloud. These days you heard so much. So what it is, and whether it is safe or not, whether what happens to my data, how should I go there, these are the different questions which comes to a person mind when he thinks about cloud computing. So if in a very very simple terms we can define, cloud is not a destination but a way of doing computing. like you know so how we process the things, that is what it has provided the easiness in the cloud. So if you see today's modern data centers, I don't know how many of you guys have seen the actual data centers in real life, but luckily I had the opportunity to see all the real data centers also. So if you see, right, this is just one of the racks which I shown here. If you see how messy it is, how things, how cabling and everything happens, and if you have to manage everything on your own, it's really a big challenge. So if you in the normal industry, if you see, right, a lot of budget in the industry, right, it is spent on maintaining the current your infrastructure. If you see, right, 42% of the it goes into your maintaining your existing infrastructure, and only 5% goes for your infrastructure investment. Because of this, like, a lot of IT budget goes into the maintaining thing. Now let us come how we are going to define the cloud. According to VMware, it is a very easy way to enter and exit the any service acquisition model. So why we are saying lightweight, like, this is a way of doing computing, and you can get the resources whenever you want, and if you don't want, you can exit from that resources. It's a consumption based pricing. Like, you guys may be familiar, like, you might have heard a lot about Amazon cloud or AWS cloud. You might have heard about Google cloud and the Microsoft Azure cloud. So all the clouds, right, those are, like, usually those are public clouds called. So how they work, like, how much ever resources you are going to use from them, you are going to pay only for those resources, and not for everything, not for all the things. And the to access the cloud, you don't need anything else. You can access just from your laptop, or, these days we have something called Chromebook, which has only the internet browsers, and you can access your everything from the Chromebook also. You just need a good internet connection to access your cloud resources. And it is very, very elastic. And the another benefit that it provides, right, it provides economies due to shared infrastructure. So when I'm talking about improved economics due to shared infrastructure, what I'm trying to say, for example, if you take your college lab, each one has one system, and say you have only 50 system in your lab, you will able to use at a given point of time only 50 students or 50 professors will able to use that. But if we have make a private cloud of those 50 servers, then we can it is possible that we can even provide access to, say, 500 students at a same time from the same resources. So that is the another advantage you get with the cloud computing. I'm going to talk further about these terms, what I'm talking, like, public cloud, private cloud, and all those things. So this is, like, you can say it is very efficient to manage. So once you make your cloud, it becomes very easy. So usually cloud means we just think of public cloud, like, what I mentioned earlier. That is not the only thing. We have other types of cloud also that we are going to talk further. So if in simple terms, like, cloud computing comes into focus only when you think about it, or a way to increase capacity or add capabilities on the fly. So in simple terms, if you say, right, suppose I have, like, a laptop with the RAM of, say, 10 GB, but my requirement has changed to, say, 50 GB, or say 64 GB or more I need. For that, if I have a physical hardware, it will take a lot of time, or I need to actually acquire new hardware that might not be even possible to extend completely in that hardware, because some systems support only so to a limited amount of time a memory that you can extend, because they are limited by the slots. So the best use, like, what you get in a simple terms, you can say you get the resources as and when you need, and it is very elastic. You can enter and exit anytime, and you save lot of on your cost also. It is very cost effective also. So if you see, like, in if you go detail, like, if you go much deeper, right, there are three main types, or you can say personalities, how these different clouds we define. The first one, or the you can say the backbone of everything, is called infrastructure. That is called infrastructure as a service. That's what you call. So this is actually the base, the hardware, where you are going to get the resources. So VMware also provides, like, one of the company who specialize in the software which can provide the virtualization, and which can provide a software for infrastructure as a service. The second thing comes, like, when you develop any applications, sometimes we say, like, it is platform as a service. Like, you enable the developers to develop the applications, and the topmost, that is called application or software as a service. So it means you can use the services whenever you want. So if you want to see the different examples in different categories, if you see infrastructure as a service, like AWS is very good example of infrastructure as a service, Google Cloud, as Microsoft Azure, and even like Apple, IBM, Salesforce, different companies also competing in the same space, which provide infrastructure as a service. The second one, like the which is like which provide a environment to developers to develop the tools and all those things. So if you see in that category, you can define like your Salesforce Lightning platform, your AWS Elastic things, and then the Google App Engine. These are the basic examples of your platform as a service. And if you talk about software as a service, so these are nothing but in simple terms, these are the web services which are hosted. So users gain complete access directly of the software. So for example, if these days you might have seen like easily, if you want to open a Microsoft Office, and even if you don't have the software installed, you can directly use the software as a service, and you can use Microsoft Office 365 for your productivity, email access, PowerPoint, or whatever you want to do. So these are the like how you can define the different types of your cloud computing. And there are two main deployment environments, like how they are deployed. So first one is called external, which is accessible over the internet for general consumption, like anybody whoever want, they can use it. And the examples that I talked about earlier, like Google Cloud, Amazon AWS, Microsoft Azure, all these are external cloud. But like some companies, they can build their own cloud internally also, which is behind the corporate firewalls. Or for example, in your college, you want to build your own cloud. So that cloud would be your internal cloud. Now, the one more thing comes. You have your internal cloud, say in your college, but you want to have connectivity with the external cloud also. There is something called hybrid cloud. So hybrid cloud, let me see, I think luckily, yeah, good, I have that thing on my here. So we call internal cloud or private cloud. Like you have the full ownership, you have the full control, everything is in your control. And the public cloud is purely external, you don't have control, but you get the service what you need. And the hybrid cloud is, if you want to bridge the gap, if you want to connect the private cloud to the public cloud, that's where like VMware also provide the delivery with both way, that you can connect internal cloud, private cloud, and public cloud. So if if we want to define cloud computing, right? Cloud computing is an approach to computing that leverages the efficient pooling of on demand, self managed virtual infrastructure and consumed as a service. So these are the three main pillars of the cloud computing. If you can say, one is on demand, it is a self managed, and it is consumed as a service. So when we say pooling, pooling means, just now we gave an example of your college. So you have 50 servers and you want to make a internal cloud of yours. So you can pool all those machines, and you can create your own cloud. And suppose there is a demand happens, say for example during the exam time, the number of students need more, that time you can add more servers in the backend, but the end user don't even have the any idea how many servers are actually providing them the resources. So for the end user, it is a zero touch infrastructure, they are not going to actually access any of the physical hardware. So the second thing is self service. So all of those things are provided through self service. You can just pay with your credit card and you get the access to the environment. You can say you have the full control. And the freedom of choice means you have multiple clouds through which you can also choose, and application mobility between these cloud based on the open standard. Like standards means like it is a way how you can talk to each other. So these are the like three main pillars of your cloud computing. Now it brings benefits to both sides. like to the end user as well as IT. So for the end users, what are the main benefits? Like it is very simplicity, self-service. You are going to pay for that much only which you are going to use. And agility means faster time to market without long approval cycles. So you guys, till now, I don't know how much you guys are aware. If you want to acquire any new hardware, it goes through different process. Like, first R&D team will say, I need 30 servers. Then they will go get approved for this thing. Then they go to the finance department. Finance department again approves for this thing. Then it goes to purchasing department. Then purchase finally happens. Then it come back. So it take a lot of cycles. So, but if you want to get access faster, you are not bothered from where things are coming. So you get very agility, you get very faster time to market without long approval cycles. And it is very much user centric. For IT, like, they have good automation, greater automation through software with lower admin server ratio. I'm going to talk further about this admin server ratio. It is very elastic, and the control. So IT has control on its own IT environment, how they're going to provide the access to this thing. So this image talks about, like, if you see these different things, the bottom part, what we have, virtual data centers, resource pools. This is where, like, we have installed our hypervisor, and then it provides a standard service delivery, and finally the users are going to access through self-service, and there are different APIs through which you can access that. Now, how we are going to move into the cloud? What are the main steps that we want to move into the cloud? The first thing, to move if you want to move to the cloud, right, we need to virtualize our hardware or our environment. So we need to virtualize our environment. And with virtualization, we get efficiency and agility. The next thing comes, you have to automate. And through automation, you can make the private cloud on your own. And with automation, what all you're going to get? You get your efficiency, self-service, agility. And next comes the federation, how you're going to connect the private cloud to the public cloud. So these are the, like, the very basic things is, like, you need to virtualize your environment first. And we are going to talk more about virtualization in coming slides. If you see, like, how the IT has grown, like, if you guys remember, right, very earlier days, there used to be mainframes, and mainframes are really big systems, and everybody cannot afford to buy a mainframe. So there used to be something called time sharing, like, so then industry evolved, and then the Microsoft came into the PC business, and Microsoft and Intel have revolutionized the industry really. Then the web came, and that's where, like, Google and Amazon came, and now it is the era of cloud. And even I'm going to talk about further, like, even further we are going for the microservices. If you see Kubernetes and all those era, so now everybody talks about, like, Kubernetes. Even the microservices are different ways how you can develop faster, and I have some slides for that also to cover. And we are also in this cloud space, and even other competitors like, Google, Amazon, Oracle, Salesforce, all those things have. So now let us come to the basics. Like, we talked this thing for the cloud. The most important thing is the virtualization, and what you are going to get with the virtualization. So in very simple terms, if I want to say, like, it is an additional layer of software called hypervisor, which is installed on top of your physical server. And the hypervisor enables you to install multiple operating systems and applications on a single server. Like, if you install any of the virtualization product, like we have our own, but there are some open source product also which you can use in your college if you don't want to, like, because this is a very high class and very expensive product. Now, what are the benefits what you get with the virtualization? So one thing, like, you get separation, like all the virtual machines, they are independent of each other. Another thing is partitioning. Like, partitioning in simple terms, like, you are going to use the same hardware, and on the same physical server you are going to install multiple virtual machines. So you're going to going to do the partitioning of your resources. Another important thing is isolation. So isolation means, like, if one class is going on in one room and another going on another room, they don't know what is going on each other. So same logic goes here, that isolation, like one virtual machine is not aware of what is happening in the in other virtual machine. Or they, for example, one virtual machine say has Linux operating system, another has Solaris, another one has Windows, so they are completely isolated. And the biggest thing, the what you get with the virtual machines, is called encapsulation. So all the virtual machine, it is a set of files, and they are easily encapsulated in a folder. So with encapsulation, the biggest advantage you get is the movement. If you want to move one virtual machine to another server, it becomes very easy. And all the virtual machines are hardware independent. Why they are hardware independent? Because there is a software that is called hypervisor, that is installed on top of your physical server, and that provide the virtual machines don't know whether they are running on x86, what is the capacity of the server. So that is completely hardware independence. Now, what are the benefits that you get? So the first benefit that you get, consolidation. So we talked that you have 50 servers and only 50 people are able to use. But if you consolidate all of them, and then the number of users can use that actual users may be increased to say 100, 200 or more. Then the containment, like you can combine all your resources at one place, and they are very highly available. Say for example, one virtual machine has failed, it doesn't mean that your infrastructure gone down. You can easily, that virtual machine can easily be brought up into another server. The migration, just now we talk about encapsulation. So with encapsulation, migration has become very, very easy. And if there is any failure, recovery in the virtualization case, it's very, very fast, and it reduces the storage cost. So when I say storage cost, so if you want to increase the capacity of a storage, so for example, we say I need 2 TB storage, I need 4 TB, but in the actual physical hardware, you really need to go and buy the 4 TB, 2 TB. But in case of virtualization, say for example, in your virtual machine, you started with 500 GB, and later you realize I need 1 TB more. You can just add the storage at the fly. You don't have to wait. As long as you have the backend, your pool of storage is available, you should be able to provide the storage to the virtual machine. And cost avoidance, there is a lot of cost savings. Just now we take the example of say 500 GB, to you want to go for 2 TB hard disk, you can go without any spending any penny on that. So now, what is a virtual machine? Like, what all constitutes of a virtual machine? So these are the basic things. If you see, like, your physical server, what all you need in your physical server? You need to have some CPUs in that. You need to have memory. You need to have network. You need to have storage. And to connect the hard disk, you need to have controllers. You need CD DVDs. You need video cards if you want to play games or you want to watch movies or anything. And you need parallel and serial port. And finally, you need to install operating system into that. So these are the basic components. All the components which comes into physical server, they have been, what to say, completed into a virtual machine. So a virtual machine consists of all these virtual hardwares. So these are called, like, your basic components of a virtual machine. Now let us understand what are the difference between benefits of using virtual machine, why we are saying virtual machines are better. So if you take a case of physical machines, right, it is very difficult to move or copy, because if you want to really move your actual server from say your one professor to another professor room, you really need to physically move those things. But in case of virtual machine, because everything is encapsulated as files and you can easily move them, there will not be any physical movement. Then physical machines are bound to a specific set of hardware, and virtual machines are completely independent of your physical hardware. And another thing, because physical machines have a short life cycle. If you see, like, your laptop, laptop hardly you can use for good for 3 years. Otherwise, if in next 3 years you get very good another new laptop. But in case of virtual machines, the life cycle is really longer, and you can just upgrade the virtual hardware. In the physical machines, you require a personal contact to upgrade the hardware, but in virtual machines it is very easy, and they are completely insulated from physical hardware changes. So if you see the image, right, the left side, I have one basic server, OS is installed, then data, and then apps. But other side, I have installed the hypervisor, that is VMware or any other hypervisor you can install. And these are the different app OS. You see, these are different virtual machines. Now we have different types of virtualization also. The first one is server virtualization. What we just talked, how you combine different physical servers, that is called your server virtualization. Now we have network virtualization also, where all the networking is encapsulated into the software, and you get the network virtualization. The next comes the storage virtualization, or sometimes people say hyper converged infrastructure or hyper converged storage. So VMware has a product called virtual SAN or vSAN that provide storage consolidation. And the final comes desktop virtualization, like you want to virtualize your desktop, or that is called end user computing also. So these are the different types of your virtualization. Now because of virtualization, you get lot of advanced features. The very good feature which was talked along, which is called vMotion. vMotion is when you want to move a VM from one server to another server. So we have two kind of vMotion. One is called cold vMotion, and then it's called hot or hot vMotion. So cold vMotion is when the VM is in powered off state, and if you want to move that VM, that is called your cold vMotion. And if the VM is in the running state, if you want to move the running state when the applications are running on the VM, if you want to move that, that is called your hot vMotion. The difference, you have some basic requirement for vMotion, the storage between them has to be shared between the both the servers. And there is something called storage vMotion. Suppose you want to move from one disk to another, so that is or one storage to another, that is called storage vMotion. And these are some of the advanced facilities, people call it HA, high availability distributed resource scheduler, automatically when you want to place a VM to one server, automatically when you power on, it is going to place the VM to the right server where the load is less. And then we have networking. We have a product called NSX, and in Kubernetes we have a product called Tenju, which provide different features. Nowadays everybody talks about containers. Okay, so containers is very demand. So containers are very good for this is nothing but it is a microservices. So if you guys have heard about monolithic and microservices, so a container is nothing but encapsulation of an application, and with that application what all the binaries and libraries you are needed, so that all is when you combine together, that becomes your container. And the application is completely decoupled from the operating system and becomes a serverless function. Like you can run container anywhere, because in the container all the binaries what is needed, it would be there. And the why the containers are so popular among the developers, the main thing is it makes coding very easier, and you can do whatever you want to do. And best use case for the developers, if you want to test your application, the deployment and testing is very quick, because you don't need to worry what operating system is there. You already have all the required binaries for this thing. Now let us talk about the differences of virtual machines and containers. So virtual machines are encapsulation of the entire operating system, but containers is only about an application, and its dependent binaries or libraries are encapsulated into that. Virtual machines are scheduled by the hypervisors, whereas containers are scheduled by the container host OS. Virtual machines runs on the hypervisor, and containers runs on the container host. Starting a VM means starting an operating system. It takes few seconds to minutes, but containers starting it's very fast, millisecond to seconds. Now I think we have some time, and I would like to show you some live stuff. But if it is possible to stop the recording, uh, let me see. Uh, let me log into some of the. Yeah, I know it is not getting. Share that. So. One second, guys. I'm just closing some of the applications which I was running already.
Okay, sir. No problem.
I just want to close. Yeah, so now I think I can share the screen. Let me share the entire screen, how it goes. So can you guys see the entire screen now?
1 minute, sir. I will add. Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you guys see, right, these are like, this is my actual hardware which is running. So I would just want to give a feel to you guys how the virtual machines are and all the things. So these are nothing but these are the physical servers. And if there are 4 servers and I have deployed more VMs. So if I click on anything, okay, let me just create one dummy VM and show you how you can create any virtual machine. So first, like, what we say, we can give any name to the virtual machine, and then we can select, where we want to store actually. And so I'm just going to store on a particular data store, and where you want to, these are the different versions of the software that we have, where you want to be compatible and what operating system you want into that. Now it comes how much CPU you need. Say I need 4 CPU. How much memory I need. Say I need, say, 16 GB I need. How much hard disk I need. Say I need, say, 2 TB. So if you see, right, in the virtual environment, it becomes so easy. And what network you want, how you want to get it connected. And these are the different video cards, and these are the different controllers. What you talk about, like, we just talk about different controllers. So you just go ahead, say next, and very fast, if you see in the task, this virtual machine is created. So if you see, right, this is like, buying a new physical server, but in the virtual environment it is very quick. Now the next thing comes, you need to install an operating system. So we just talk about, like, these are the basic things what is required in your VM hardware. Like, you have a CPU, you have memory. And if I want to, say, add a new disk to this thing, let me give an example. Just now we talked, if I just want to add a new disk to this thing, it is very simple. You can say add new disk, hard disk, and say I want to add, say, 1 TB more to this virtual machine. That's it. So it is so fast in the virtualized environment. Like, I have now another disk that has been added of, say, 40 GB. I think I added, I should have changed, or we can add one more if you want. So it becomes so easy. Say if you want to add a new network adapter, so I want a new network adapter. So what I can go ahead and do, add a new device here, and there is called network adapter. So that way I added a new network adapter. So but in the physical environment, if you want to do that, you really need to go open the box and plug it into the system. Those that take a lot of time. So the next thing what I just want to show you guys, so suppose this virtual machine is running on the host 1618 is this thing. And that's what I was saying, like, if you just want to move, I say I want to migrate this virtual machine to another host. So say I want to move it to 19. So you just, it is so fast. If you, once it is done, if you see, right, the host has changed to 1619. So this is called your cold migration. Now I have a running VM which has operating system into that, And now if I want to migrate, so this is on 1619, and I want to migrate this to say another host, say 17, and if I do, so this is running on the 1619 host, and once the, if you see right, migration is done here, it registered and it has moved to the another host. So this is another use that we talked about it. This is called your live migration. Now another thing, like if you want to, you have a running VM, right? I have a VM which is particularly running, so it is called like, if you want to if I want to set up a new server for somebody, say I have here only 8 server. So for example, if I want to set up a new server, it is so quick. I can just clone this existing virtual machine, and it would be so quick that very fast you'll able to create a new properly running system for your users. So these are the new advantage. If you see right, this virtual machine clone operation is going on, and you can easily see very fast you have a new server ready. So these are the another advantage that you get with the virtualization. So very fast you see right, you another virtual machine available. So that way, another advantage that I want to show you with virtualization. So for example, if you have new software you want to install, or you want to check whether you have your product, you are doing some application and you want to test whether my code would be good or not. So what you can do, you can take a something called snapshot. So you can take a snapshot. Snapshot is a point in time copy. Like, if you say take snapshot, all the files what are there at that state, they would be saved. So I'll say snap one, and it is going to create the snapshot. So after that, I make any changes, and if I revert back to this snapshot, all the changes that I made, that would be lost, and I would be having the good copy of snapshot. So snapshots are very useful when you want to apply any new patches. Suppose you got a new software that you want to check whether you want to go ahead or not, you can take a snapshot of the virtual machine and you can go ahead and you can use that. So these are the, like, basic things on the virtualization, and I would just want to show you guys. Luckily, like, I have some setup running. And before we talk about any further, Sajjan sir, do we want to take any question on this, or how we want to go?
Yes, sir. I just the assistant professor exams also there in Karnataka, and UGC NET and KSET exams also there. If possible, can you give some suggestions for tips to clear competitive exams like UGC NET and KSET, or
Yeah,
for computer
sure.
science? Which subjects are important? How to read? How to study?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
sure.
Thank you, sir.
So I have downloaded, I think I downloaded just now the syllabus of. Can you guys see this one on my desktop, the computer science syllabus?
Yes, sir. Just your yes, sir. Just your
Okay.
experience you can share, sir.
Yeah.
How
So
you have
what
cleared
I want
all
to
NET,
share,
test, GATE exams.
the first thing that I want everybody to know is you should first read the standard computer science books. Okay. Any exam, or if you want to succeed in life, right, please don't go for the shortcuts. You should always look for, like, do a thorough study, and with the thorough study only you should be able to get the things going. So for example, say you, the first topic that is there is your discrete mathematics. Okay. So if you want to study discrete mathematics, right, there are plenty of good books on discrete mathematics. Like, you can say there is a discrete mathematics by Kenneth Rosen. Then we have another good book of uh, this thing, Tata McGraw Hill comes one very good book. So these are the basic things you should look for. And another important thing, when you do any topic, please solve the problems related to that topic. So for example, I am studying, say, set and relations and mathematical logic. So not only go through the theory, you should, when you prepare any topic, pick up all the old questions from GATE, NET or set, whatever question paper you can get it. Pick up those question paper, and do all those questions, whatever comes from there, solve all those question paper. So, and when it comes to how the things are related, my suggestion would be if you are good in discrete math, graph theory, and the next thing comes your theory of computers, theory of automata, theory of computation, which is called automata theory. So there are a lot of question comes on from automata. And then you have compiler design, if you just focus till how your parsing happens, we have different parsers, LR parser, LL1 parser, different parsers. If you focus on that, that is very important. Another thing is your database plays a very big role, because questions on database can be easily related to your operating system also. If you see recovery, then the next part comes your operating system also. You should read the basic, Silber, Sarge and Galvin. And Sajjan sir has done a very good job in publishing the book, which combine all the old questions and try to solve them. And we have contributed to that also. So my suggestion is go through that book also, it is highly recommended, so that you know how to solve the problems. And please discuss the problem. If you are not able to solve on your own, please discuss with your friends, make a group, find a group which is good enough. like you know um, Sajjan sir and I think we are discussing, when we were preparing long time, and we used to discuss the problem.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
discussion is the best thing. Anything, please don't hesitate to ask any question. Don't think it is very silly question, I should go ahead and not ask. Please ask. That is my best suggestion to on anything. Discuss. And if you have any questions, there is lot of resources available. But another one word of caution: don't just go on Google, search one topic and keep doing, and you will be lost, believe me. So study on the basic books, okay, especially for UGC net and all the competitive exams. If your basics are really good, you should be able to clear any of the exams. So that is my two-piece advice on the UGC net. And if you are preparing for let me talk little bit about competitive examination. If somebody is preparing for banking, or what you call SSC and all those things, you should read NCRT books. Okay, from 6th to 12th. If you study NCRT books thoroughly, I can bet you nobody can stop you from passing the exam. So that is also very very important thing. If somebody is preparing for the other competitive examinations, please prepare from the NCRT books. They are the best resource. And after that, there are many books which are available in the market, which you can read and go through it. But you can clear the exams only when you are doing practice solving the problem. Reading the books will not help you pass the exam. Solving the problem is the, you say, gist of any clearing any exam. I think Sajjan sir, we can take any more question if people have, or otherwise I can go on.
Yes,
I
sir.
have because lot of information on the UGC net, and I had
1
luckily
minute.
when I was in India, I had taught lot
Yes,
of
sir.
this thing classes on the GATE and UGC net and other competitive examinations. I love teaching, but I'm in industry, but I had done lot of you call tutoring in my career. So
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
okay.
One Mala Misra, she asked one question. Can you suggest any research topic from cloud computing, sir?
So I can
Can you
suggest
suggest
you
any
can pick up.
research topic from cloud computing?
Yeah, I can suggest you these days Kubernetes is in very high demand. Okay, microservices. So if you pick up the topic of microservices and how the microservices interact with different components, that is one of the very good areas, and your paper will be published very faster, because everybody is talking about microservices.
Yes, yes, sir. I hope reach. Dr. Sandeep Kumar and Sachin Birade. Any questions, sir? If you want to ask any questions, you can ask, sir. Dr. Sandeep, sir.
No,
Sandeep Kumar and Sachin from
no, sir.
Maharashtra. I think Sachin
No,
sir
no,
from
no.
Maharashtra. Sandeep Kumar sir. Okay. Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, you can. No, sir. At present, there is no questions. Can you continue for your whatever you have teached in gate and net set, sir?
Okay,
Another some
yeah,
tips
I
from
can go
another
over,
10 to 15 minutes.
that in
Can
more
you?
detail. Yeah, thank you for the suggestion.
Yes, sir.
So let me open the
Yes, sir.
syllabus, and with that, I would refresh my things very faster. So if you see, digital logic, okay, this is very important because digital logic and discrete math, they plays very combined role. So that's why my first suggestion
Sir,
should be you should be
there
very good in discrete
almost
mathematics. So the next thing comes
start again,
your
sir.
programming language and data structure and algorithm. So all these three topic covers a lot of at least 12 to 15 questions cover in your languages, your data structure and algorithms. So they play a very good role, and you should second you should focus on that. Then the third part comes your database management system, and in DBMS you should focus should be on the SQL. Surely questions comes on the SQL, and then your normalization and recovery. I think they have the recovery also, so you should understand the recovery also, it happens. Now in the operating system you should focus on these three topics mainly: CPU scheduling, deadlock and memory management. I mean to say you have to go through the all, but especially on the memory management you should play a very good role. You should solve memory management has very good questions from the gate, and if you solve the gate questions it would give a good resource. And luckily, we talked about the virtual machines and virtualization. So these days, very basic question comes what is virtualization, what are the different components of virtual machine and all those things. If you go through that, this is very easy. Software engineering, I think if you have studied basics, but in this you should give special questions comes on cohesion and coupling. Okay, how your these the different matrices which are called your time to different times that we need to calculate in the software reliability. So there are numerical questions that comes from your software reliability. So please do focus on the software reliability questions and coupling and cohesion. There are numerical questions which are there possible on those things. Then this is my favorite topic. I love this theory of computation. In this you should have thorough understanding of your finite automata and regular expressions, because a lot of questions comes on regular expressions. They give a regular expression and they'll ask you what all the strings are matching from this thing. And if you want to convert a DFA to NFA to DFA, how many states you can minimize. And then this is the another topic what I just talked about. This is called parsing or syntax analysis. How you are going to get, surely you are going to get question from this topic. Now these are the data communication network. In networking you should surely do some questions on your data link layer, because there are very good questions on data link layer which really make your brain to work. Artificial intelligence also has good questions on fuzzy set. So if you want to do and if you are really interested in research, fuzzy and natural language processing, it is very high demand. But if you see natural language processing and fuzzy sets, these are again linked to your discrete mathematics. So I think this is all what I want to say on this paper. But my suggestion is, please solve questions when you prepare for a topic. Don't just wait till the end. Don't think that I finish the whole operating system and then later I want to solve all the operating system questions. So if you are studying CPU scheduling, you should solve the questions from CPU scheduling. take a printout of all the papers, like you can download gate and net papers, and please make a note of that. And if you don't find, Sajjan sir has written the book nicely, like a lot of questions have been combined in that, and you can pick up the questions from there also. And another book I just want to recommend, like especially for small exams, this Timothy Williams, like there's a MCQ book comes from Timothy Williams, that also would be really a good source of information, like to solve the problems. With the question is, like how to prepare notes for net exam. The notes, I would say, don't worry about notes from taking from anybody. If you make your own notes, it would be very easy. Like I can just show you, like my notes, like sometime I just written. Let me see if, I don't know whether you guys are seeing everything or not. Set relations and functions. Okay, so I have, like done long time. It's a, so if you see, right, these are, like my own handwritten notes. So you should, like you should go in deep, like
Yes, sir.
finite, infinite, then countable, uncountable, and then if you see, like power set, and you will surely see, like what are the different problems, how you do, like then these are different problems that I'm trying to solve here. If there are two sets, what they're going to achieve. Then this is another question, like if you have to find what all the true or not. If you see, right, then I talk about this numbering, number of 4-digit decimal numbers that contain no repeated digits. So these are different problems, like if you make, these are, like for other person these notes may not be good. Okay, so this is very particular problem, like number of ways to place the R colored ball into n numbered boxes, where qi of these balls are of one color and some are of different color. How to solve these kind of problem? So these problem looks very easy, but when you try to solve them, believe me, it is going to take a lot of time. So if you see, right, these are my notes, like when I was preparing, right, I just prepared like this. So these are, like these are the different problem I solved, and luckily some of them I have scanned on my own. These are different questions of probability. If you want to do probability, how you solve the probability questions. So this is, like I'm just showing, like it was just in a mail, because I know I saved it somewhere. If you see, this topic is very simple, right? Everybody just says sets is very easy, but if you see, I think, I don't know how many questions I have solved on the this sets and relations only. How many, if you see, right, we say, like symmetric, asymmetric relations, like if you're given a set, how many asymmetric relations are possible, you should do problem like this. So I don't know how much. This is, like this is how I prepared my notes. Like let us say, like what is the cardinality of this? Like let us assume this is the following POR. Right? Poset R on a set, and then what is the cardinality of this thing? How you're going to define all those problems. So this is the. I hope you would, guys, have got the answer on this thing, and I think. Uh, yeah, I think that's fine on the note. So you guys have got a good idea, like how I prepared my notes. So if you see, right, my
Yes, sir. Yes,
focus
sir.
was mainly on the
Same.
solving the
We have.
problems. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. Same we have solved. Also, Rohilla sir all collected all good book PDF books, means e-books. I have complete whatever you have said folders, sir. Still I have after 9 years. After 9 years. Okay, if anyone asks, I will share the computer. No problem.
Yeah, please go ahead,
Hemant
because
Jain asking, please share whatever you have shown. Right.
because I have, like because I
Yes, sir.
this was my personal ID, and I have, like my another email ID which I used to use when I used to teach, actually. So there are multiple email IDs I have. So this is the email ID I used to use when I used to teach, and there you will find multiple books, like which I have, like These are the, I have some material, I think I shared, how you prepare on the paper one also. So
Yes, sir.
so they are my suggestion is, if by the time you should not solve the problem, right, you are not going to get the stuff. Like this is the fuzzy logic network book. I think I'm almost done, because it is night 10:30, about 10:30 for me, and but I can still take the questions. I really happy to share whatever
Yes, sir.
I
Yes, sir.
people have questions.
Yes, sir. All are there is no questions. All are telling it's a nice one, good session, good comments, sir. I hope it's too late for you. Now I will session hand over to Lakshmi, madam. Lakshmi, madam.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir, and thank you to all the other professors who have joined also. And I really appreciate the opportunity, because I love teaching, and that's why, I can agree in the future also for the some sessions. I don't mind. I
Yes.
have done a lot of teaching, though I am not joined as assistant professor anywhere. But believe me, guys, I have done a lot of tutoring.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for
Yes,
sharing the
yes, sir,
great
yes,
knowledge
sir. Our
with everyone.
principal, sir. 1 minute, sir. Our professor, beloved principal, sir, is very enthusiastic to organize like this session, sir. Once I told about you, sir told immediately organize. Even not given, not think single second. Sir told, hey, organize this one. It's very useful session. It's a benefit to all over India, not only India. It's a benefit to all over world. That's why immediately I have contacted you and organized this one. A really wonderful session, sir, because you have shown a live demo on cloud computing, and also for some tips to clear competitive exams. You have solved many uh, question papers and books and everything. I got many knowledge from you. Thank you, sir. Now session hand over to Lakshmi, madam. Sorry for interrupt. Carry on, madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Jitendra, sir, for sharing a great knowledge with everyone. Almost more than 1,000 people across the country registered for this webinar and took the knowledge from you, sir. Once again, thank you so much, sir. And now it's a time to presidential remarks, and I want to hand over the session to our beloved principal, Professor M Hadimani, sir, Principal, Government First Aid College, Human Jamkhandi. Sir always give very much support and guidance to organizing committee and conducting of this international webinar. So now I want to hand over the session to Professor M Hadimani, sir.
Thank you. Good morning to all dignitaries on the screen. I am very glad to say Department of BCA and Computer Science organized such a wonderful webinar on importance of cloud computing and UGC Net Paper 2. Today's resource person, Jitender Rohilla sir, well-known person in cloud computing, he explained how important cloud computing future days, and also explained the working of cloud computing part by part. Then along with it, NAC, how to prepare the NAC, NET preparation. Then it's very, thank you, sir. I'm very thankful on the behalf of Government Pastoral College for Women Jamkhandi, a resource person, Jitendra Rohilla, sir, and all organizing committees, uh, particularly Professor Sajjan, sir, then IQAC Coordinator, Pushpa Avanti, Madam, Sunil Manakawad, sir, then Computer Science Department HOD, Professor Mantur, sir, then all our staff, then all audience. Once again, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really pleasure to have discussion with all of you. And in future also, I would be happy to share whatever I have gained. And I'm very open, sir. Feel free, we can do some sessions. I have very good knowledge on Automata Theory, compiler designs, database, operating system. So I can do special topics if somebody if you guys need any help in the students, because I know a lot of people don't like Automata Theory. It is really challenging subject. So, but by God grace, I have got a good grasp on that subject, and I can do special on that particular subject also. I can do in the future also.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. It's a. Yes, sir.
Right,
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes, madam.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Yes,
Thank you
madam.
for
Continue.
your confidential remark. And now it's time to vote of thanks. I would hand over the session to Sajjan, sir.
Thank you, madam. Uh, Once again, thanks to all who have helped directly and indirectly to organize successfully for this international webinar. Actually, once I came to my mind, I will organize this webinar. Our beloved principal of this function, Professor M Hadimani sir, told me, even thinking single seconds, go ahead. It's a good time to start working. Similarly, Department of Science, HOD, and coordinator, co-coordinators, and all helped me and to organize to success this webinar, especially for Jitendra Rohilla sir. I sent a one message actually in I think daytime for I think it's around 12 to 1 o'clock night um, in USA. Sir immediately replied morning. So started this journey. We have successfully completed first session, first webinar, international webinar with Jitendra Rohilla sir. Definitely, sir, with the help of our principal and our college and in Karnataka universities, will organize in future days many webinars like this, because we need your suggestions, helps, because in especially finite automata, we love this subject, but most of you hate this subject, but it's a very important subject. That's why anyhow we'll organize especially for finite automata and difficult subject like in computer science, gate also it is very important. So many questions asked from finite automata, compiler design, and assembly language, and computer organization architecture. Will organize many webinars future days. Thanks to one and all for all over the world. So many of you joined for other USA and Indonesia. So many other part of the world joined. Finally, we made this event successful. Thanks to one and all. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks.
Yes. Welcome. Welcome.